Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. We know the November 2nd election is here. Early voting is now. And we know across the state of New Mexico, we have municipal elections for mayor, city councils. We have a lot of school board members who are open for and up for election. Right here in Albuquerque, of course, we have the mayoral election, and at the same time, we are voting for city council members. I'm interested and excited to introduce you to a member who is running for the District 9 City Council district, Byron Powdrell. You've seen him on the program before because he was co-chair of the Foothills Police Council, and he brought a lot of information on their efforts, their progress fighting crime, which is a kind of like an uphill battle. But we have Byron Powdrell with us today, and he's going to explain why he is running for city council. I imagine it has a lot to do with what he learned as co-chair of the Foothills Police Council. So please stay with us as we introduce you to Byron Powdrell right after this. We've invited all members who are running for city council, mayor, a lot of the school board members to be a part of this program, to be interviewed on issues and answers, and those who accept our invitation via deadline are welcomed into our studio and are introduced to you. One of those candidates for Albuquerque City Council, District 9, who met the deadline and is here in our studio is Byron Powdrell, and we open our arms to you and say thank you for accepting our invitation.
Well, thank you for having me.
You've been on our program before, as you remember, the co-chair of the Foothills Area Command.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're also a local businessman, owner of, I see on your shirt, 99.9 The Beat.
Yes, ma'am.
And we know your name, Powdrell, from Powdrell Barbecue. So sum it all up for me, Byron.
Well, you know, as a member of the Powdrell family, you know, and we've been here for many years, many generations here in Albuquerque, and have been well established. We've always been in the community service, and by doing that, it taught me a lot. Between being in Sunday school, my dad was a Sunday school teacher. Learning about Jesus and going up and how to take care of your fellow man, it gave me a platform to start with. And in later years, I took that platform and actually decided in 2016 that I would run for office. And I ran for city council against the incumbent then was Don Harris. And now I didn't win that one, but I wasn't a person that would give up. And so what I did was, here we are in another cycle. Mr. Harris is not running again, so I decided it is now time to do it again because our city is in a crisis. And everybody ran on the platform of, you know, I'm going to fight crime. I'm going to do what it takes to fight crime. Well, 3 years into it, you don't see very much change. I saw the little bit of change I saw was from the Community Policing Council, because we actually were working directly with the community, and being able to do that, you are able to be better suited to deal with the issues of the community and take those back to their appropriate divisions of the city and get those things handled.
So I think you learned firsthand that with community participation, it can make a difference.
That's right, because one person can say, oh, I'm going to be a crime fighter. Well, obviously we cannot do it alone. Just like an airplane cannot land at an airport without a ground crew. And that's why we need the people.
How many years were you the co-chair of the Foothills Area Committee? The Foothills Community Council.
Approximately 2 years as co-chair.
As co-chair. But you saw effect.
Yes, we did. And I still stay in touch with everybody, and they continue to do very good work and still making changes. And I love it, especially being up in the foothills in the same area as District 9.
That's what I was going to ask. Where is District 9?
The District 9 boundaries are Manal all the way to the south up to the base, and Eubank east into the foothills.
And Eubank east to the foothills?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right around the Four Hills area?
Yes, it encompasses Fort Hills. It sure does.
I-40, Wantabo, Tramway.
Correct.
All the way up.
Yes, ma'am.
Past the foothills. We have, I think, 9 city council positions. Are there 9?
Yes.
And 4 of them I think are up for election this time.
That's correct.
This cycle. Why did you decide you wanted to run again? You said you ran a few years ago against an incumbent. That incumbent is no longer running, but you are running this time.
Well, you know, other than being a glutton for punishment, I feel that this city, if somebody does not step up in a time of crisis in the city, that really will have their heart and soul into wanting to fix the problems of the city, then it's not going to get done. And I stepped up amidst everything else, and regardless of anything that could come up, I am here to run again for this city.
We're in a crisis. What type of crisis are we in, Byron?
Well, for starters, it's a crime crisis. Crime is through the roof. Homicides, we continue to set records in homicide. And District 9 has had its share at almost a dozen just in the District 9 area. And so we have a lot to deal with when it comes to homicide and when it comes to crime in general. And a lot of it I did learn from my time in the policing council, as well as I actually graduated from the City of Albuquerque's Citizens Police Academy. So I did do that. And I learned quite a bit. I learned why officers are leaving. I learned what officers do not have to do their job. Why is it so hard for them to do their job? And what they need to make it to affect a good job. And so I learned all that. And these are things that I'll take back as a city council person to help this city out.
What do you think a city council person could do? I mean, we have a mayor. We've had a mayor for 4 years. He's running again. We've had crime growing, I think, the past decade or more. There was a time when we had peace here in Albuquerque, but that is no longer the case. We hear the sirens, we hear the cars racing up and down Tramway in Montgomery. We know pedestrians are being hit. It's a very difficult time. You call it a crisis. Many people would agree with you it's a crisis. What could you do on that council? You could share with them what you learned at this police academy that you attended. What can be done?
Well, as a city councilor, you can no longer just be a person that shows up for city council meetings and think that you're going to get everything done. I've sat in many city council meetings and I see the anguish on the faces of the people that come in and the pain and being upset. And I said, if a city councilor is to try to put these things at bay, what you have to do is actually be a city councilor that is hands-on, which means that city councilor will be on the streets. That city council will be seen working with the community and not just sitting in an office sending a policy analyst out to do the work. That's not going to happen. I am a hands-on person. I've always been a hands-on person, even with my own station. I go to the events. I make sure people are happy. And those are the things, those are the qualities of a city councilor. Is to not just sit and watch, but be a part of it. You've got to be proactive. If we don't have any proactivity, which we've had literally 12 years of non-proactivity out of the District 9 area, and that's why things have really ultimately have went as bad as they have.
You know firsthand, and I'm sure I learned from you when you were part of our program regarding the Foothills Police Council, that our police department is hamstrung because the Department of Justice came in 7 years ago, going on 8 years ago, and has us under a decree, under an agreement of how our police department is able to operate, and it's operating by investigating itself a lot. The police officers are not necessarily on the street, but they're having to investigate themselves, their fellow officers, for infractions. If a criminal is saying "ouch" when their handcuffs are placed on, I understand it takes now 3 or 4 months of internal investigation. Why did that criminal say "ouch"? What did the police officer do? So they're hamstrung. What could you, as a city councilor, do to affect any of this?
Well, for starters, the cost agreement is going to stay in effect.
It's going to stay in effect.
It stays in effect.
The court-appointed settlement agreement between the Department of Justice and the Albuquerque Police Department.
That's right.
It's going to stay in effect for how long?
Well, that's the part we don't know, but we and the officers know we have to comply with it. Now, there's some issues with it, and I'll tell you, when I was in the police academy, and they taught us all about the different uses of force. There's a lot of issues there. Just by saying "ow" takes many officers out of the streets doing their job for many hours of just doing paperwork. And so it is going back and renegotiating the parts of the use of force to say, well, how many times have you gotten in your car and bumped your head, okay? Well, those things are going to happen. Or when you get the cuffs put on you and you get a scratch, those things are going to happen. Or you trip and fall, those things will happen.
Can be negotiated, renegotiated.
I believe those parts can be negotiated because they're just parts of life. I mean, these are everyday things that happen, and it's just kind of stupid to tie an officer's hands behind their back, and the fact that any use of force gets put on the jacket of an officer and makes them ultimately unhireable in another place. If you've got 200 uses of force against you, even though they're level 1s, which are something minor like that, just somebody saying "ow," and so that makes an officer really have a hard time wanting to do their job. Which you have found and shared with us before.
What can you do then? What can you, as a city councilor, do? Demand, request that this be renegotiated? What could you do? What power does a city councilor have to make change? That's the question, Byron.
Well, the ultimate is with the mayor, but it's to work with the mayor's office, convince the mayor, and work with the city attorneys to say, listen, let's all sit down at the table. 9 heads are better than one, to be able to sit at the table and say, look, let's look at all aspects of this and see what we can change. And then remove the fluff, okay? And when I say fluff, there's things that were added by administration to make a better show for the Department of Justice. Well, anything that you know about the federal government is this. The federal government says we want A, B, and C. We don't want D, E, and F, just A, B, and C. That's all officers are saying. Let us do the job and do what is mandated, no more and no less, and we'll get it done.
What's the fluff?
Well, there's been things that has been added, right offhand. You caught me off guard on that, and I did know a few of them. But what it does is there's things that officers can and cannot do that makes it hard to do the job.
Okay.
It makes it difficult to do the job, but it also puts a constraint on them in the way of the use of force. And so this could have been very well taken care of years ago. When everybody ran the first time, and I said it at the beginning of the show, everybody said, we're going to run on crime, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Here we are 3 years down the road, and nothing's changed.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse, yes, ma'am.
Let me give you time to share with the audience what you'd like them to know about you running for city council and why, what kind of change, in addition to the crime, which I could talk to the whole program, but there may be other things that I'm a great concern of the crime in our city for many reasons, personal safety, but also the future of our city. I hear from people who don't want to come visit our city, who don't want to, wouldn't even imagine moving here because of the crime rate, the crime problem. I love the city like everybody else does, but I'm worried about the future. But that's me. You're the one running for city council. Please share with the audience what you could do and what you see are the areas that need your expertise.
Well, as a father of 4 wonderful children, I am in a neighborhood in a district that I went to middle school in. I went to elementary school in, ultimately graduated in that area, and have been residing there in the same house for more than 23 years. And my investment in the community in District 9 and in the city of Albuquerque is very strong, as we have one of our restaurants, Powdrell's Barbecue, which has been in the district since in the early 70s. And the same problems that we have at Powdrell's Barbecue are the same problems every other business has throughout the district. So it is worth it to me to get in there and solve the problems, to work to solve the problems with the business owners and with the people that live in the district so that we can move forward. Because that eastern corridor of Route 66, whether people know it or not, is very famous. At one time, before the Smiths was there, it was the...
Before the what was there?
Before the Smiths was there,
the
it was the Western Skies Motel. And those that remember it, Kennedy stayed there. Many celebrities stayed there. My father was even a chef there for a while before starting Powdrell's. And so there's a lot of history in this area. And people need to know that so that Albuquerque can regain the confidence of the eastern quarter of the city. And by revitalizing that area is what I want to do.
And Byron, when you come from the east, that's the first place you hit when you come into Albuquerque.
That's right, and it's very ugly right now.
Those are your words, not mine.
Yeah, I mean, we got to be real about it, and it's ugly. And by creating a gateway, it is the East Gateway, and that's what the coalition in the area is called, the East Gateway. By creating the gateway, a part of it is going to be the aesthetics of the area, which means as a city councilor, we have codes and zoning enforcement. And now it's time to step those up. If we have to hire more people, then we have to do it because the aesthetics of the city is part of the issue. If a place looks run down and tore up, well, then the unhoused, the homeless, and some of the vagrants, and I can't say that we will not criminalize people for being homeless, but in every aspect of life, there are criminals, even on the real side, on this side, saying, well, there's people that have own homes and live and do work in the community. Well, there's criminals in that aspect too. And so we have to work with all aspects of the community to fix this problem. And is it going to go away? It's not going to 100% go away, but we can get it to a place where the quality of life in Albuquerque is in a good spot.
And when you speak quality, in addition to the, fighting the crime, what other areas are you discussing, Byron? Well,
there's education. People say, what is the root cause of the problems in Albuquerque? I want to say that it is a lack of education. When our area's got a lot of Title I schools in it, and so there's single parents, there's grandparents raising kids, and there's sometimes kids trying to raise themselves. If we do not work early in the education, then they have a choice to either learn from somebody good or they get a chance to learn it from the streets. And we want them to learn it from another way. And I'll say this. When Albuquerque, years ago, we had a program called Arts in the Parks. And boy, we'd go to the parks, and I was a host for that for many years. We'd go to the parks, and we'd have kids from all over at different parks throughout the city. If they were in the parks, learning things, then they weren't getting in trouble. We had Dance Dance, it's a teen thing. 500-600 kids on a weekend would be at the community center, the convention center, dancing and having a good time, chaperoned by Bernalillo County Sheriff and APD. Well, there's 500 or 600 kids that are dancing and having a good time and not getting in trouble. So once we let all these programs go, and then when school said, oh, we're going to kill some music programs and sports, it gave children nowhere to go and nothing to do. It's time to change it. And what I will do in District 9 is throughout all of our parks, all year long, we're going to have events, and the other council districts are going to either have to step up and do the same thing or find somebody who will.
How would you work with businesses, and what would you require of the businesses? Of course, to live up to their codes. A lot of rundown motels in your district, but we've known that for years. And I understand it's changing a little bit, again, thanks to this Foothills Police Council and the work they're doing with the city and the police department.
Well, part of working with the businesses, when we want to bring in new businesses or see businesses that exist expand, we have a lot of obstacles. A lot of red tape in trying to get things achieved. And some businesses don't even make it because there's so much to do. If you compare us to, and I don't like comparing, but unfortunately I have to do it, you compare us to Arizona, they have half the hurdles that we do here in Albuquerque to jump through to start a business.
And we're talking about getting permits.
Yes.
Mainly getting permits for what, the groundwater, for the parking structures, for the driveways, for
That's
the
correct.
landscaping.
Now, by no
Just
means should we cut corners on that, but we need to be a lot more efficient than what we are. And right now, our city government isn't as efficient as it should be. And those are things that, personally, I would like to see happen. And I'll work on it. Again, I'm a hands-on person. You'll see me everywhere. You'll see everywhere doing everything, getting people together. Let's do these things. Let's make this happen. And by working with the community directly and holding hands with the community and saying, listen, you are now being heard. Because that's the main thing people want. I just want you to hear me and then make some kind of move.
And sometimes they feel, Byron, that they can't make a difference, one person. So why does they hold themselves up in their homes and fearing that nobody else can do it either? But you look like you're an agent of change, that you believe one individual can make a difference.
And yes, I will. And by doing things in the community, like I said, and things in the park. And we got a taste of that over the summer with the National Night Out. None of the parks in our area were funded, the neighborhood associations. And so I stepped up and I said, listen, we'll do this one. And it was an awesome night. And people are saying, I've never stayed in the park till it got dark. And I said, how would you like to do this year round?
Tell us about the National Night Out. That's is it August?
Yes, it is in August. I don't remember the date right offhand, but the thing about National Night Out is for people to get together, get to know your neighbors, and talk about the issues that are in your neighborhood. So that your association can say, listen, we can go to the Community Policing Council, we can go to our commander in the area, we can tell them these things, and now that you get to know people that are around you, you feel safer. And from the one that we did the one National Night Out in the district. I got a call, and we did one on the west side. They did theirs afterwards. There was almost 600 people at this one.
How many were at yours?
We had about 100.
100? What park was it?
It was the Brentwood Hills Park. And so it was good, but I know that it can spread like an infection, and that brings people together, and that's what we do.
They have the Neighborhood Watch program. Heard some friends were interested in having it in their neighborhood, but it seemed kind of cumbersome or maybe not as effective as they thought it could be. The Neighborhood Watch. Do we have many of those in your District 9?
Not really. But the neighborhoods, they do watch out for each other, and I think it's been awesome that they've done that. But one of the things I'd like to do is help the neighborhoods to be able to police themselves in a way of having, camera systems for ingress and egress, and that somebody can monitor those and be able to send that information to the real-time crime center so it could be monitored.
So you're saying their own homes, their own entrance to their neighborhoods have it monitored by the neighbors and then send the information to the police department?
Yes, and that would help, because we cannot say that Big Brother's not here. Big Brother's been here for many years, and your expectation in some cases of your privacy is gone. But in parks and public places, we want to make sure that if we do something like that, that it doesn't affect your privacy, but it gives you a level of safety.
And you're right. You're not calling for it. It's here.
Yes.
Everybody has it in their cars, their little dash cams,
I've
on
got
their
it in
house, their
mine.
doorbells, and
That's right.
Byron Powdrell running for Albuquerque City Council, District 9. We have just a few more minutes to go. Touch upon things I haven't.
Well, there's quite a few things that we can do in these areas other than working directly with the people. There's some things that make the districts unique, and I was talking to the mayor this morning about an area that people come from around the world just to skate in one of our arroyos. And I had
Just to skate?
Just to skateboard. Now, one of the young girls that was a skater there actually went to the Olympics, and that's where she was doing all of her skating. And so we know that ditches are deadly, obviously, but we can do something in this area to make this, it's known worldwide. Let's take advantage of that and keep Albuquerque on the map, not just for the Balloon Fiesta, but for what we do in these different areas, and give a new light to District 9 instead of saying, well, you know, between the hotels and the crime in that area, I don't even want to go in that area. There's reasons to go everywhere, and we
Tell us about District 9.
District 9, it has its ugly places, but it is fantastic, you know. And I'm not saying it just because Powdrell's is there, although, yeah, you know, get some barbecue, but there's other restaurants. There's other businesses that are in that area that are not in any other parts of the city. So there are reasons to go up there. And so we want to give you more reasons by utilizing some of the properties that are vacant and some of the buildings that are vacant. If the buildings cannot be fixed, then maybe they should be torn down. But we'd like to utilize all the properties in the area, and as well as the folks that live in that area want to see these buildings come back to life and bring businesses and bring jobs, because again, the schools are Title I, a lot of low income in the area. If we bring more businesses, we bring more jobs, and guess what's going to happen with crime? It's going to go down.
Byron Powdrell, the position for City Council, I understand it's a paid position. Is it full-time, part-time? Tell me a little bit about that.
It in a sense, is a part-time, but I wouldn't consider it that. I would consider anything that you're doing for the public that you're being paid for to be a full-time position. Now, I know I've got a radio station to run, and I've got people that can run it. And so if I have to step away to take care of business, that's what I'm going to do. I told people in the district that I would have meetings. I would have meetings throughout the district to be able to understand things that are happening, because I can't be everywhere at once. And those are things I would do. So I would say anybody that's running for the office, you should consider it a full-time job at the rate of things, the way things are today and the crisis that we're in due to crime.
And when are City Council meetings for the public?
I believe they're twice a week, and then they have other meetings. I don't know exact times. I think it's a Tuesday and a Thursday, I believe. And they're long, so you know, so you'll have to be ready for that. But you can't just say, well, it's just Tuesday and Thursdays. I make $30,000. Look, I would just assume don't pay for the position and see if you really want to do the work. Get in there and do it.
Sounds like you want to do the work. Byron Powdrell, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, KCHF
Thank you for having
TV,
me.
and all you've done so far for this community, how you educate us. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching the program, and thanks to KCHF TV for bringing you the candidates. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.